Once again, I'm here with you all in our favorite channel, that is Geography for Success. And today I have come again with a new video for you all, and it is based on Geographic grid. And before I start with this, I want to remind you once again, as you go through this video, you will find that this is very useful video for you all and you are going to like it, right? So don't forget to subscribe the channel and also to share the link of this video with your friends and classmates. Let's continue with topic. First of all, as we talk about the geographic grid, I want to ask you, what does this term mean? As you all know, in our daily life, many times we use the word grid, right? So what is actually the meaning of geographic grid? Now, if we say the geographic grid, right, what is the definition of it? We can define it in this manner, that it is just a network, or it is the crisscross of the lines of latitudes and longitudes, right? Or the other way we can say it's a framework of the crisscrossing lines of latitudes and longitudes on a globe. That is called geographic grid. So the network which is formed, that is called geographic grid. Now these important lines, actually they help us in locating places, right? In calculation of time, then directions, and to find out the distance between different places and much more. So these lines are very important in our studies. Okay, you can see here in the first picture, these are the latitudes, horizontally drawn lines, and these are the longitudes. In the second one, these are vertically drawn lines. Okay, these are longitudes. When we draw these lines together on the globe or on earth, right, for our study purpose, that forms a crisscross of, or you can say the network of these crisscrossing lines, that is called geographic grid. Okay, now first of all, what are these lines of latitudes? When we say lines of latitudes basically are the different lines which are indicating the different latitudinal distance, right? Latitude basically is the angular distance of a place. Simple, when we use the word latitude, latitude is the angular distance of a place north or south of the equator. Okay, a latitude is always marked in degrees, with equator being 0 degree. Next thing is, all these lines of latitudes are drawn parallel to the equator. So many times these are also called as parallels of latitude. What does that mean now? Parallels of latitude means all the latitudes which are drawn parallel to the equator. Each parallel of latitude is a full circle. Out of all these latitudes, only equator, only 0 degree latitude is a great circle. Now what is this new term? What is the meaning of great circle? Great circle is a line, or you can say a circle which is drawn on the earth, which divides the earth into two equal halves. So if you see all the different lines of latitudes, only equator divides the earth into two equal halves, and all the other lines of latitudes are not of equal length. As we go from equator towards the two poles, you will find the lines of latitude decrease in length. Now, which are the main latitudes? In total, if we find on earth, there are total 181 parallels of latitude, right? Now out of all these 181 parallels of latitude, so 90 latitudes are in the northern hemisphere, 90 are in the southern hemisphere, and 1 is 0 degree, that is equator. So in total, 90 plus 90, 180, plus 1, that is equator, that forms 181. Now let's talk about the important latitudes. First of all, equator. Equator is, you can see, the longest line of latitude, and it is 0 degree. Okay, 0 degree latitude, which divides the earth into two equal halves. Next are the two poles, North Pole and the South Pole. That means 90 degrees north and 90 degrees south. These two are the points which are called as the 90 degrees north and south latitudes. And next is the Tropic of Cancer. Tropic of Cancer is a line of latitude located at 23.5 degrees north of equator. Tropic of Cancer is 23.5 degrees north of equator. Same way, Tropic of Capricorn is 23.5 degrees south of equator. And along with this, the Arctic Circle. Arctic Circle is 66.5 degrees north, right? And same way in the southern hemisphere, 66.5 degrees south is the Antarctic Circle. So in total, we are getting all these important latitudes on Earth. Now, the next thing is the northern and southern hemisphere. How do we know that the two hemispheres are formed on Earth? Basically, just now I said in the earlier part, equator is a line of latitude which divides the Earth into two equal halves, right? Northern and southern hemisphere. Hemisphere, hemi means half and sphere means the circle, right? Or the spherical body. So the sphere, when it is divided into two halves, two equal halves, that is called hemisphere. Now the equator that runs midway between the two poles divides the Earth into two equal hemispheres, and these are called northern and southern hemisphere. And the poles, north and south poles, are the opposite to each other at the extreme ends of the sphere, and they both are located at 90 degree angular distance north or south of the equator. Now length of the equator, basically if we talk about just the equator has got a length of total, or you can say the circumference, total circumference of Earth on equator is 40,077 kilometers. And since the circumference of a circle is equal to 360 degrees, so if we divide 40,077 kilometers by 360, we are going to get 111 kilometers. Okay, so what does that mean? At every 1 degree angular distance, there is a distance on Earth almost 111 kilometers. Now, the next thing we need to discuss here is about the use of latitudes. Now, what are the various uses of latitudes? When we say the lines of latitudes help in providing the location, finding out the location of a place, that is also correct. And how do we do that? When we draw a latitude, okay, horizontally drawn line, okay, and we draw a longitude where these two lines crisscross or they intersect each other, that coordinate is actually called as that point of intersection is the location of a place. In this manner, we can say it gives us the absolute location of a place. Now, the next use of it is to measure the distance of a place. If we calculate the distance of a place with reference to equator at right angle to the place, we can measure the distance in what way? At every 1 degree difference, there is you can say distance of 111 kilometers. And once we know that 1 degree makes a difference of 111 kilometer, that means every latitude is drawn at a distance of 111 kilometers. Keeping that in mind, if we have been given one question like this, you can see here, latitude of Mumbai is 19 degree north. Okay, suppose this is the question given to you, and the latitude of New Delhi is 30 degree north. Now, how to find out the distance? 1 degree. First of all, what you have to do is 1 degree has got a distance of 111 kilometer. Clear? And Mumbai is actually 2109 kilometers from the equator. How we have got this? We have simply multiplied, because we know that it is lying at 19 degrees north. Okay, north of the equator. So 1 degree has got a distance of 111 kilometer. So 19 degree will have a distance of 111 into 19. Clear? And this will give you 2109 kilometers. So we can easily say that Mumbai is lying at a distance of 2109 kilometers from the equator. Same way, if we have to calculate the distance of New Delhi. New Delhi, the latitude we have got, it is 30 degrees north, 30 degree from the equator. So 30 degree. 1 degree has got a distance of 111 kilometer. So 30 degree, 30 into 111, and that will give you 3330. That means 3330 kilometers. So New Delhi is lying at a distance of 3330 kilometers from the equator. One more very important use of the latitudes is that these latitudes help us to divide the earth into different heat zones, right? Now, what are these heat zones? You have seen just now in the earlier part all the important latitudes, okay? Equator, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Arctic Circle, Antarctic Circle, and North Pole and South Pole. So accordingly, we can easily divide the earth into different heat zones. What is it now? Between the two tropics, you can see here, in the northern hemisphere, it is Tropic of Cancer. Okay, so between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, this entire part between the two tropics, this entire part of the earth is called as the tropical zone, or it is also called as the torrid zone. TORRID. Torrid zone means it is the hottest zone on earth. How we can say that? Because it is quite evident that the sun rays fall vertically throughout the year, right? Throughout the entire year you will find the movement of sun, apparent movement of sun between the two tropics only we can find. Okay, never it goes beyond the two tropics. So naturally, because the sun is overhead between the two tropics, so this is the hottest zone on the earth. Then next one is the temperate zone. The temperate zone which lies in the northern hemisphere, that is called the north temperate zone. Okay, the temperate zone which lies in the southern hemisphere, that is called the south temperate zone. Now north temperate zone lies between the Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle. Same way, the south temperate zone lies between Tropic of Capricorn and Antarctic Circle. Now what about this temperate zone? Temperate zone has got neither it is too hot nor it is too cold. That means the sun rays fall a little slantingly over these parts, okay, over the temperate zone. And the same way, after the Arctic Circle till North Pole and beyond Antarctic Circle till South Pole, these two regions are called as the frigid zone, or these are also many times termed as the polar zone. Okay, now what about this? Because the sun rays fall very obliquely, right, very oblique towards these two zones, and that's why these are the coldest zones on earth. If any place is lying in the frigid zone, we can easily say that the place has got a you can say cold climatic condition. So this is how we can get some idea about the climate of any region or the temperature conditions of any region. If we know where does that place lie, in which zone does it lie. Okay, so this is the importance of heat zones. Now the next thing is about the lines of longitude. Let's discuss about another set of lines, that is lines of longitude. Now this is actually these longitudes are the vertically drawn lines. Now if we have to define a longitude, always a longitude is angular distance of a place east or west of the prime meridian. If you remember, when we were talking about the latitude is actually giving us the angular distance of a place north or south of the equator, because these are horizontally drawn lines. But in the case of longitudes, always the angular distance of a place east or west of the prime meridian is called a longitude, right? Now what is prime meridian? Prime meridian is actually a line of longitude which has got the angular distance as 0 degree, and as you know, it passes through Greenwich. There's a township very close to London, that is Greenwich, and this prime meridian or 0 degree longitude passes through Greenwich, and so many times it is also termed as Greenwich meridian. Instead of prime meridian, we also call it Greenwich meridian. That means 0 degree longitude. So the lines to the west of the Greenwich are suffixed with west. Okay, W, capital W. And those lying on the east of the Greenwich are suffixed as east, E, capital E. There are in total 360 lines of longitudes. If you take a sphere, suppose you take a ball, right? So ball or any circle, if you take it in that way, how many degrees it is having? Always it covers 360 degrees, right? And if, just imagine, at every 1 degree we draw a line. So how many longitudes, how many lines we are getting in that way? At every line, you can say a degree, if we draw a line, we are going to get in total 360 lines. The same thing is happening here also. On Earth, when we draw the vertical lines at every 1 degree, we are getting in total 360 longitudes. And these lines of longitudes, you know, one very important thing about these are also called as meridians of longitude. Now what is the meaning of meridian? Meridian means, actually it has been derived from a Latin word which means meridianum. Actually its meaning is noon time, right, or the midday, and it means any longitude, whichever place, suppose it is suppose different places are joined by one longitude, so that longitude will experience, all those places which are lying on that longitude will experience the midday or the noon time at the same moment. And that's why all those places, because they experience the noon time at the same moment, that is why that longitude is also termed as a meridian, which has got the same midday. And all these meridians, you know, all these longitudes converge at the 2 poles and are having equal length. They all are equal in length, right? They converge at the 2 poles, and the maximum distance between these longitudes is found on the equator, right? On the 2 poles they converge, and on the equator they have the maximum distance, you can see here. And how much is this distance between these longitudes? At equator, maximum distance we can find. And what is the distance? It is exactly 111 kilometers. But this distance decreases gradually as we go from equator towards the North Pole or the South Pole. So these are the important features of the lines of longitude. Now, what are the basic differences between the lines of latitude and lines of longitude? If we say the lines of latitude, first of all, you can see here the basic differences. It's very easy to differentiate between the two. Latitudes are the angular distance of a place north or south of the equator, right? Number one. The other side you can see, longitudes are the angular distance of a place east or west of the prime meridian, okay, or the 0 degree longitude. Number two, lines of latitudes are drawn parallel to the equator. So these are all parallel lines. But what about the meridians? All the meridians of longitude, or the simple, you can say the longitudes, they converge at the 2 poles. Third point, each parallel of latitude is a full circle, right? They are actually forming a complete circle. So these all lines of latitudes are not of equal length. And as we move from equator towards the 2 poles, the size, or the, you can say the length of these lines of latitudes decrease. But what about the longitudes? Individually, all lines of longitudes are semicircles. They are forming a part of the circle. So these are individual longitude, if you say, that is just a semicircle. And all the longitudes are equal in length. Unlike the latitudes, these all are equal in length. Next is the latitude degrees are measured from the equator. Taking equator as 0 degree, in reference to equator, if any place is lying in the north or south of equator, we refer that as this much latitude. Okay. But what about the longitudes? The distance between two lines of longitude, right? Or we can say the longitude, the degrees of the longitude are measured in reference to the prime meridian, east or west of it. Now, the next one is the difference between the two lines of latitude is always 111 kilometer anywhere, because the reason is all the latitudes are parallel lines. They are equidistant, having a distance of 111 kilometer, that is 111 kilometers. But when we talk about the longitudes, the distance between two lines of longitude is maximum at the equator. That distance is maximum over the equator, but when we go towards the pole, the distance decreases. And over equator also, how much is that? It is exactly 111 kilometer. And one more difference is there. The lines of latitude are used to find the uses you can mention here. So the lines of latitudes are used to find the location of a place, number one. Number two, to measure the distance of a place in reference to equator, and to divide the whole earth into different heat zones. Same way, if we talk about longitude, lines of longitudes are no doubt, these are used to find out the location of a place with the help of latitude. Okay, number one. Number two is that they are used to find out the local and standard time of a place. And besides that, you can say with the help of longitudes, we can find out the time, the date, okay, of different places. What is the variation of time between the two places on earth? All these are calculated with the help of longitude only. So these are the basic differences between the lines of latitude and the longitudes. Now what about the eastern and western hemisphere? Basically the 0 degree longitude, right? 0 degree longitude is called the prime meridian. Okay. And this prime meridian divides the earth into two equal halves. And when it divides the earth into two equal halves, you will find the eastern side of it is called the eastern hemisphere, right? This side of it is called the eastern hemisphere, and the other side of it is called the western hemisphere. Now, the next thing here we have to discuss is about the local time. Okay. Now, what is local time basically? Local time of any place is obtained by the overhead sun, okay, at the noon time. That means whenever we say that the sun is overhead or vertically, it is lying at any place, right? The sun rays are falling vertically over that place. So that particular moment is called as the local time of that place. And for each degree of longitude, there is a variation of 4 minutes in the local time. You can see here with the help of this diagram, you will be able to understand this. For example, longitude of Mumbai, okay, is 73 degree east, and longitude of New Delhi is 77 degree east. So what is the basic difference between the two longitudes, 73 and 77? What is the difference of longitude? That is 4 degree, right? So if 1 degree longitude has got a difference of 4 minutes, what will be the difference of 4 degree longitudes? That will be 16 minutes. Okay, 4 into 4, that will give you 16 minutes. So we can say that if the two places, if we find the local time of Mumbai and local time of New Delhi, you will find there is a difference of 4 minutes. And if we go towards the east, the time is always added, and if we go towards the west, the time is always subtracted.